Health stresses that the health sector recorded unprecedented occupancy rate during the last period and points out that 568 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 are recorded. His Excellency the Minister of Information stresses on the role of media in raising community awareness regarding the dangers of COVID-19 pandemic. And His Excellency the Ministry of Transport, Communications and Information Technology emphasizes that the 7th package of economic activities will be approved in the upcoming meetings of the COVID-19 Supreme Committee. Those were the headlines. Now for the news in detail. His Excellency Dr. Ahmed bin Mohammed Al-Saidi, Minister of Health, announced 568 new confirmed cases of COVID-19, which brings the total number registered in the Sultanate to 95,907, including 10 deaths during the 16th press conference for the Supreme Committee. His Excellency stated that yesterday 62 cases were admitted to health institutions around the country and 9 cases required admission to intensive care units, which brings the total number of patients in intensive care units to 185. His Excellency added that there are 36,734 in home isolation and 203 in institutional quarantine. His Excellency pointed out that the health sector recorded unprecedented occupancy rate during the last period. His Excellency said that the country booked around 10% of its need of COVID-19 vaccine. During the COVID-19 Supreme Committee's press conference, His Excellency Dr. Abdullah bin Nasser Al-Harrasi, Minister of Information, stressed on the role of media in raising the community awareness has expanded from disseminating preventive measures only to becoming actively interested in science, statistics, the pandemic updates, and what experts and specialized labs say. His Excellency pointed out that the community in Oman has been following statistics, knowing that it has become a crucial element of his daily life, all thanks to the media that brought knowledge and science to people's life. His Excellency warned that the situation is dire and requires more awareness campaign. His Excellency added that the government lifted the ban of many economic activities to support the national economy and private sector institutions. His Excellency said that it is impossible to keep the ban for a long time since it impacts the state, the private sector and the community itself. However, His Excellency warned lifting the ban requires from all private and public institutions and individuals to observe all preventive measures. His Excellency the Minister of Information urged the creative youth generation to research for innovative awareness tools, pointing out that it is the time for the youth as we are living in extraordinary times and conditions. His Excellency Engineer Saeed bin Hamoud Al-Ma'wali, Minister of Transportation, Communications and Information Technology, said that the 7th package of economic activities will be approved in the new meetings of the Supreme Committee. His Excellency pointed out the Supreme Committee agreed in the last meeting to approve 3 out of 11 activities due to the increase in the number of cases. His Excellency said travel from Oman for Omanis and foreigners does not require a prior approval, but the health guideline approved by the Supreme Committee must be observed. He added that the travel health guidelines are applied to people visiting Oman, including COVID-19 health insurance policy, to cover treatment expenses for at least 1 month. His Excellency pointed out that ship crew members can now change shifts inside Oman ports. During the press conference, His Excellency Dr. Mohammed bin Nasser Al-Za'abi, Chairman of Civil Aviation Authority, affirmed that the regular international flights will be resumed at the start of next month. They will be at the level of limited aviation transport, which will include only the operation of limited flights between Muscat International Airport and a number of the world's airports. This came to achieve the goals of this phase that include providing aviation transport service for passengers and goods between the Sultanate and the world. His Excellency announced during the press conference that the passenger manual, which will be available starting from today at the website of Civil Aviation Authority. Upon the arrival of the Supreme Committee entrusted to deal with the developments resulted from the spread of coronavirus, it was decided to resume the sport activities for all organizations working in that field. These include federations, committees, clubs, teams, and other activities. The Ministry of Culture, Sports and Youth affirmed that these activities shall be without spectators and preventive measures and conditions shall be followed that guarantee the safety of all, taking into account all conditions issued by the Supreme Committee regarding individuals and facilities. Still to come in our news bulletin. Tasmania Parks and Wildlife Service officials rescued 88 pilot whales from Australia's worst mass stranding. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman Television. The Ministry of Higher Education, Scientific Research and Innovation signed a cooperation program with the Public Authority for Industrial Estates Madain. The Memorandum of Cooperation came to enhance and develop cooperation in the scientific, educational, research and innovation fields. The program aims to prepare plans to link the outcomes of the higher education institutions with the companies investing in industrial cities affiliated to Madain, in addition to developing the curricula of higher education institutions in the related fields. According to the memorandum, training opportunities will be available for university and vocational college students, as well as change expertise in this field. The 59th meeting of the Commercial Cooperation Committee was held through video conferencing, where Their Excellencies the Ministers of Commerce of the Gulf Cooperation Council countries GCC discussed unifying the commercial laws and systems to facilitate the freedom of practicing commercial activities in GCC countries. During the meeting, Their Excellencies also reviewed topics related to commercial exchange between GCC countries, as well as to deal with the obstacles facing them, in addition to coordination of import and export policies, besides discussing the latest developments regarding the combat against the COVID-19 pandemic. His Excellency Qais bin Mohammed Al Yusuf, Minister of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion, took part in the meeting. The Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources participated in the 11th meeting of the Board of Directors of UNESCO's Regional Center on Urban Water Management. The meeting reviewed the implementation of the approved action plan for 2019-2024 and the future activities. It also commended the Sultanate's role in activating the center activities, especially those related to capacity building in management, assessment and development of water resources. The Sultanate's delegation in the virtual meeting was chaired by His Excellency Engineer Ali bin Mohammed Al Abri, Under-Secretary of the Ministry of Agriculture, Fisheries and Water Resources for Water Resources. The Red Cross is preparing for a possible deadly second wave of coronavirus infections in the southern part of Yemen. The first wave of the outbreak, which seemed to have reached its highest in late spring and early summer, saw a serious spike in deaths in the southern city. Then, many health facilities shut their doors due to lack of staff and supplies. Those that remained open had to turn many of the severely sick away. On Monday, the International Committee of the Red Cross announced the opening of a new field hospital in Aden to specifically treat coronavirus patients. Officially, Yemen has had some 2,030 confirmed cases of the new coronavirus. However, with a death toll of more than 587, it has the highest ratio of deaths to cases in the world. It is believed that the vast majority of the country's cases have gone undiagnosed and untreated, and health workers have said only those who are near death are usually brought to hospitals. The UK Home Office and Ministry of Defence are using drones to catch people smugglers from a base at Lydd Airport in Kent. From the control room, pilots comb the channel to try to capture video evidence of illegal crossings and specifically the criminals facilitating them. A people smuggler has already been jailed after being captured on camera by one of these drones. Rebwar Ahmed, a 36-year-old Iraqi national, was handed a 31-month prison sentence after admitting a charge of assisting unlawful immigration into the UK. A drone captured him trafficking 20 migrants across the English Channel from France on a rigid-hulled inflatable boat.
We're gathering evidence for prosecution and intelligence, as well as preserving lives. And what we're finding is that every single one of these boats, of course, has to be piloted by...
Russian armed forces demonstrated an offensive by airborne forces and aviation in Volgograd region today, the fourth day of military drills labeled Caucasus 2020. Chinese and Russian forces are taking part in the joint military exercises along with troops from Belarus, Iran, Pakistan and other countries. The Russian and Chinese militaries regularly hold joint exercises and they back each other in the United Nations over issues including Syria and now North Korea. The military drills are due to continue until September 26th. Authorities have rescued 88 pilot whales and are attempting to free 20 others that survived Australia's worst mass stranding as crews prepare to remove 380 decomposing carcasses from the shallows of Tasmania State. Crews found the 20 whales that are still alive on the fourth day of the rescue operation. Almost 500 whales were discovered on Monday and yesterday beached on the shore and sandbars along the remote west coast of the island state near the town of Strahan. The task of removing hundreds of tons of whale carcasses begins tomorrow and is likely to take days. Methods under consideration include towing the carcasses or loading them on barges to take them out to sea to be dumped somewhere where they will not drift ashore or create navigational hazards. This is the Sultanate of Oman Television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. His Excellency the Minister of Health stresses that the health sector recorded unprecedented occupancy rate during the last period and points out that 568 new confirmed cases of COVID-19 are recorded. His Excellency the Minister of Information stresses on the role of media in raising community awareness regarding the dangers of COVID-19 pandemic. And His Excellency the Minister of Transportation, Communications and Information Technology emphasizes that the 7th package of economic activities will be approved in the upcoming meetings of the COVID-19 Supreme Committee. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the newsroom and the studios, it's good night.